Welcome to Single Ever After. Join me as I journey through the jungle of dating in search of my true love. So it's been a minute and a lot has happened. I've been talking to somebody for a couple weeks now. We're apparently not dating, but we're getting to know each other. And overall, I think it's going well, but there's always a but. There are some things that concern me. So they were in a long-term relationship, longer than any relationship I've ever been in. So they were with their ex-partner for, I think, over 10 years. And their relationship ended 8 months ago. And let's just say it has not been a clean break. Like, did not end on the best terms. So that has definitely been one of the things that I kind of keep in the back of my head. It's a little worrying that they've had bad blood between them. The other thing is the fact that they were together for so long. I'm like, what if y'all work things out? What if this is just like a hiccup and, you guys just need time apart, but then you end up reconnecting and you want to give it another shot, or you realize like, okay, actually we want to be together. He's reassured me that that's never going to happen, but you can never say never. So that kind of makes me, in addition to my normal, like, walls being up and guarded, that is another layer of like, how open am I willing to be? Because they might get back together. I mean, he hasn't shown me anything that would make me believe that, but just given the situation, like, you've been with somebody for so long, you guys either really don't work out or this is just kind of like a break for y'all, and then y'all reconnect and realize, you know what? What was I thinking? We should be together forever. I'm not going anywhere, you're not going anywhere, kind of thing. So there's that. Now, the other thing that kind of, I don't know, I kind of think about is the way I treat people that I care about or I'm interested in, and how I expect them to treat me, and how I expect them to like communicate with me. Communication is huge. Communication, I notice, is something that has not been the best on his end from his previous relationship. Like the way they communicate, their communication style is not my communication style. So that is something I brought up to him. And, we've talked about it. And he's 1000% putting in the effort to make sure he communicates better. And I have seen the improvement. That's like one thing. And then I guess along with communication, I think it's just like, for me, I consider it like support. Like, I feel like I support him and try to be a positive aspect to his life and add value. And I don't know that it's equally reciprocated. He feels like he does. I feel like not as great. Like not at the level that I'm on, but then I have to consider like my own personality and like the type of person I am. And that's just kind of who I am. I'm very like, caring and giving, and I always want to see other people win, and I always want the best for them, and I always want them to be the best version of themselves, So, things that they don't see in themselves, I like to highlight and show, you are great. You have a lot going for you, kind of thing. And I guess the way I go about it, he probably feels like he does feel like he does the same for me, but the way I do it is not the way he does it. So I guess that's why I'm having a hard time feeling like I'm getting the same level of support. But like that leads me to a third thing where I feel like I don't want to be nitpicky. I don't want to be like this person that's like, okay, here's the thing I have an issue with. Okay, here's another thing I have an issue with. Okay, here's another thing I have an issue with. You know, because I don't have issues with these things. I just feel like we come from two very different types of relationship experiences. You know, I feel like his past relationship, some of the things I've learned, I don't think they were good for each other. I think they were both very toxic to each other, and they probably should have broke up a long time ago, you know. And it's just certain things and habits that he has from his past relationship, because that's what it's been for so long, that those things don't work for me. You know, I don't find those things acceptable. I have no interest in those types of things. You know, so it's tricky because I feel like, you know, when we've had conversations where it's taken more of a serious tone, one most recent one that we had, you know, he said that I make him feel like nothing he does is good enough. And like, I don't want anybody to feel that way. I don't want anybody that I'm trying to get to know, potentially have a relationship with, to ever feel that way. I don't ever want to make anyone feel that way. And, you know, it took me a while to kind of digest that and think about it. And when I called him, I asked him about that. And he was just like, no, I don't mean that. I don't think you do that. It's just, you know, from my past relationship, that's kind of that's what it always was like. Like nothing I did was ever good enough. And I'm like, oh, I hate these comparisons because this is not the first one, but these comparisons to the past relationship. And it's like, how do I try to move forward with him on our thing when certain things trigger a memory from his last relationship, you know? It's like, I don't want to constantly be compared to some negative thing or incident or situation from the last relationship, you know? And I'm like, ugh. I mean, in a way I understand because that's what you've known for a very long time. So like somebody that was dating for like a year or two, talking about like a decade plus of your life. So like, you know, I'm like trying to give grace and I'm trying to be understanding, but I'm like, at some point we are going to have to like get rid of the shadow of your past relationship if we are trying to build something, or, you know, try to date each other like exclusively. Like we cannot keep going back to that. Things cannot keep reminding you of that. And if they do remind you of that, keep that shit to yourself and work through it and not bring it up to me, because like that is going to get me very annoyed and frustrated, because it's as if I don't have my own identity and now you compare me to, oh yeah, well, this happened in my past relationship and look at it happening again now. And it's like, you know, that's not fair to me, you know? But it does sound like I'm saying all negative things, but to be honest, like, I think he's a really great guy. It's definitely a different experience than I've had in getting to know other people. Like, I actually feel like this is, you know, there's quality here. He's a gentleman, you know, and it's funny because it's little things that I just haven't had experience with in so long that to looking at them, they probably seem like the bare minimum. But like for me, it's like, wow, no one's ever done that for me, you know, like planning dates and, you know, having everything figured out without me having to like take over, you know, and we go out and, you know, he pays for the meal. It's not even like a debate. I mean, I don't mind paying for meals. I don't mind, you know, taking him out and do, you know, like I'm just not one of those people that's like a guy should always pay. But like, it wasn't what I expected, you know? So like having him, you know, take me out on a date. He planned our first date. We went out to this restaurant he heard of. We went to try the food. We both didn't like it. He paid for it. And then he thought of going to like this other restaurant that was like maybe a 20 or less 20-minute drive from where we were. So like he paid for the valet for my car at the first restaurant and asked them if they can like if I can keep my car there. And he drove us to the next place and we had dessert there and it was really nice and beautiful, you know, and then he drove me back to my car at the previous restaurant. Like, you know, like just all of this stuff, like it's not what I'm used to, you know, and he was just such a gentleman the whole time. He was very respectful the whole time. And like before we even went on the date, we had FaceTime each other and like we just got on. We were like, we probably, I think, talked for like 2 hours, you know, before we even met in person. So like our personalities, you know, they clicked really well. He makes me laugh a lot. You know, he makes me smile a lot. And, you know, he's just so kind. I think he's very kind. I think he's attentive. I think, you know, he has the qualities of like what I'm looking for if I want to be in a relationship with somebody. Like these are the things I would want to see. And they're all there. It's just, you know, like the more time we spend together and get to know each other, then, you know, some of your little quirks come out and some of the little things come out. And like I told him, like I have anxiety. I worry about a lot of things and it's always worst case scenario. And it's a lot to deal with, you know, and we've had a couple instances where, you know, I'm kind of like off the deep end with some of my questions. And, you know, I think he's done a great job at managing it and not being like, look, I don't need this shit. Goodbye. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm trying to be more mindful of that. But, you know, there are little things that make me a little nervous. Like that's like, okay, if we're to continue this, you know, there are certain things that I need to see before I really start letting down those walls. So I don't know, but overall, I think it's going well. Overall, I am going to continue to, you know, give him my time and attention. There isn't anybody else that I'm talking to. So it kind of is like I'm only focused on him. But we'll see what happens, you know. So far, so good, I think. And little things to worry about, but I think if we manage it correctly and talk through some of it, I think we'll be okay. And, you know, we might eventually officially start dating each other. Who knows? But obviously the plan is for us to take it slow because he's come out of something long term. I haven't even been in a relationship that, God knows, almost as long as he's been in one. So like, you know, we're coming from opposite ends of the dating spectrum. So trying to find that middle ground, that like sweet spot, you know? But I don't know, I like him. So we'll keep going and see what happens. As always, remember to keep your hearts open to love.